Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I am not Santiago Ramones. I am Sable Ann, your temporary hostess for this episode, because we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different today. It's the 100th episode!
Hi,
Woo!
yeah. It's like technically 100, although like I've done more than 100 episodes. There's been like some bonus ones, but the numbering is 100, so 100.
There you go. So I'm actually going to be interviewing Santiago today. And you've been asking listeners, our friends, and our family, like, just questions that, if whatever they want answered. So we got a list of them literally here in front of us.
Yeah.
I will be asking and you do all the answering.
Yeah. And for the sake of transparency, for this first part of the like interview questions, I did write a lot of them. And so, however, conceited it might seem to sound that I wrote all of my own questions. Sure. But yeah.
All right. Then let's start with, what do you do or what do you want to do?
So I am a composer, first and foremost. I think the thing on like all of my social media stuff says composer, producer, songwriter, performer. I don't know. I think it might be 5 of them, but either way. So I compose music. So far, it's mostly ambient, electronic, producer-y type stuff. But I've also done some string stuff, some woodwind stuff, some film scoring stuff for my film scoring class. And so ultimately, I want to compose music for video games. And so that's why I'm getting my master's in music composition. And then songwriting-wise, I write songs for myself. A lot of the stuff that I write is like hypothetical situations because I don't think my life is interesting enough to write songs about myself. And then I'm a producer, so I have a bachelor's degree now in music production, and I think that's probably my favorite part of the recording process. Like, yeah, there's the setting up microphones and mixing and stuff like that, but I really enjoy the production part, which is sort of like a nebulous step in between, in that, like, yeah, there's the setting up microphones part, but then there's the part of the person that's sitting at the computer and is going like, I like that, but try a little bit more of this. And having done a bit of that, I really enjoy that step of the process. I like helping musicians sort of try to make the best out of the music that they're performing, whether it be for me or for themselves. And then, let's see, composer. Oh yeah, podcast host. Normally I host this podcast called Bit Depth, where I talk to people for a really long time about deep stuff. And then I am a performer. And so I enjoy performing in front of people. I haven't gotten to do it as much lately, but I do really enjoy performance. Is that all of my things? Composer, songwriter, producer, podcast host, performer. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. What instruments do you play then?
My main instrument, which I guess I'll call it an instrument, is voice. It's probably the thing that I've been doing the longest. Yes, I've been using my voice for the longest time, but doing so in a musical manner for an intended longer period of time. I sort of started with voice in like elementary school. I think like the first time that I really like got into it was with like Circle the State with song in elementary school. And so there was like a little audition process sort of thing. And so that felt like kind of legit. Um, and then through like high school, I, along with doing band through middle school and then high school, I played trombone. Played is more in past tense because I don't really play trombone anymore.
But didn't you have middle school, though?
Yeah, I did do middle school trombone as well. But I skipped doing vocal stuff in middle school because band was so demanding with everything. And then, but once I got to high school, I was like, I really enjoyed singing and doing like vocal stuff in like elementary school, and I didn't get to in middle school. And so I'm gonna join choir. And so I joined my freshman year. I joined a freshman girls choir. So I was one of two guys in a room full of girls because the schedule didn't say that it was a girls choir. It was just freshman choir. And I was like, I'm a freshman. I want to be in choir. That wasn't necessarily. Yeah. So I got to be in freshman girls choir. That was fun. But then I also did show choir, did all the musicals. Yeah. And then I think my senior year, I started teaching myself how to play bass guitar first. I got a bass guitar from you.
Yeah. My very, very cheap bass guitar that we bought from online or something.
Yeah. That company doesn't exist anymore.
Probably with reason.
Yeah, because it's very cheap. But I started teaching myself bass, and it was really just like listening and playing back the thing that I could hear.
I mean, I guess that's kind of how like all musicians kind of learn.
Yeah, if they don't have like traditional lessons and stuff.
It made me think of Coco. How
exactly.
He learned how to play just from watching the TV.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how, I mean, not necessarily in that specific way, but I would look up tabs online and try to play along with stuff and then just listen back. But then I also started teaching myself how to play guitar. And that was a little bit harder. But I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the point of like shredding on guitar. I'm not a lead guitarist. I generally just look at chords and play those chords. But that's comfortable enough to where I can do a bit of songwriting with it and just play rhythm guitar in that way. And then starting in college, I majored in vocal music ed for 2 years, and so I had to learn piano. And so doing class piano for 4 semesters, I learned some keyboard type stuff. But yeah, and then also in marching band, I played baritone. So to make that really long-winded explanation, I play my voice. I'm a tenor, guitar, bass guitar, and keyboard. I've been trying to teach myself how to play drums, but I don't have that much time to do so. But that's hopefully if I learn to play drums, then I'll be able to play every like contemporary rock band instrument. Yeah.
Cool. This is actually one of the questions I had asked. When did you first realize you wanted to have a career in music?
I think that was at some point in high school. And it started out as like a great admiration for some of my favorite bands. And so, like, I think my career goals at that point, though naive, I just wanted to be like a touring artist.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to be Radiohead, if that was even possible. Um, and as time went on and the real world kept chipping away at that idea, I went from wanting to do vocal performance, and then I did vocal music ed sort of as like a backup job. But then I think at that point I started wanting to do composition.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really somewhere in like my sophomore year, I think, of high school, I was like, I want to be a touring musician. I think that was the start of my wanting a career in music.
Like, why did you want to tour? Like, what was it about it? Because I kind of remember looking back, because I knew you then, like, kind of your reasons why, but like, express so others may know.
Yeah, I think there's just great passion I find great passion in performing and doing music, like really just doing music. Having been in choir and band and stuff, that I, at least at the time, I felt that like my passion for it would sort of allow me to do it. So I think it's very naive, but sort of how it started out. And so, yeah, I don't think I ever had an idea about doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Really, before then, I think in elementary school, I was my real goal back then was like I wanted to illustrate for comic books, and I guess that dream died somewhere in like my freshman year of high school. I was just drawing a lot less, and music kind of took over my life, but still a creative endeavor, and I'm still an artist.
I still remember like one of your biggest passions, like that you wanted, that was like drove your career of being like a touring artist, was you wanted to influence a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, since you were still pretty religious back then, like that was kind of like another thing to kind of be like a witness, or just kind of like really just spread a lot of love and like, I don't know, just like good things to people, and kind of have that be through your music.
I think I don't remember when I realized it, but over time I have sort of seen myself as somewhat of a messenger. However weird that may sound, is that I have something that I want to say. I want to spread love. I want to spread this idea of love. And doing that through music is a lot better communicated. People get in touch more with music.
Why did you choose music / what got you into it? And
yeah, I guess I kind of already answered that, but yeah, it was really starting in elementary school because everybody had to do a music class in elementary school. But then, yeah, by the time that I was getting ready to choose where I would go to school for like college, I really couldn't think of anything else that I would have rather done. Like, I don't think I had any other option in my mind. So,
well, isn't your family pretty like musically involved? Like, anyway, I mean, like,
yeah,
wasn't there always kind of music like in the house kind of thing?
Yeah, there was always music in the house, and I think that kind of comes from the the amount of value that music has in like Venezuelan culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, everyone dances, everyone listens to music, and it's not a question about do you listen to music. It's just like
It's just there.
yeah.
Because every time I come over to like your house, like especially recently with the holidays, there's your parents always have something on.
Yeah, there's always music going. And even though both my parents were never like trained musically, you know, they can't read any music or whatever. You know, my mom is a beautiful singer, and my dad has an excellent ear. And like my dad can pick up. I mean, Daniel just bought him a ukulele.
Yeah, he picked that up really quickly. And I was just like, where did that come from?
Right. Well, he already had some, but like he had already played a ukulele. He had one in New Caledonia.
Okay, because I was like, that came out of nowhere. Yeah. I'm impressed.
But even still, like he would pick up a cuatro, which is a 4-stringed Venezuelan instrument, and you know he'd just figure stuff out. And he'd just know the right notes, and without any musical training, I mean that's really amazing.
That's impressive.
But yeah, music has always been a part of my culture. And depending on what level you're wanting to take it, like part of my blood. But I don't really think in that way. But
it's just always been a part of your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's always there or like whether it's like there or not, like it just is. So then the kind of like big question I know a lot of people probably ask musicians in general or just artists in general, why not a quote unquote real job?
I mean, I could do a real job and I could like
what would you
bear through it, but like
well, okay, what is like a real job to you?
I don't know, like a 9 to 5 where you like go into a cubicle and like do the thing for like
the man.
Yeah. And you know, being brown and an immigrant, like I don't like working for the man. I don't like the man. And so I think that a real job is just so boring. No offense to anyone who has a real job, quote unquote, but it's just that I wouldn't enjoy doing anything else. And that's really it. I mean, to quote Confucius stereotypically, but like, you know, find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I think it's somewhat true because, yeah, no matter what you're doing, you're going to have to work. But it's really about being able to endure. And I don't know if I could endure being a pencil pusher all my life.
Right. I don't know if anyone asked this, but I guess kind of on the topic, like if you didn't choose music, like what would be like your second career option? Did someone ask that?
I think Sally asked something similar. But we'll get to that and I'll answer it again whenever that happens.
Well, I mean, like, you don't have to go into detail, but like if you, like, I immediately think like a game producer or writer.
Right, but even then, that's even less so a real job. Like, you know, you don't. If someone's like, if someone's like an author or a writer or something, like, you don't think of that being like, I don't know, a cubicle type thing. You know, writing rooms are very different, or authors like sit away in their office and like, you know, slave away until they don't. And
that would be something to ask Ariane, since she's an author.
Yeah.
Or she writes books and whatnot.
Right. And so,
like, to know the full process. I have a slight idea on how that works, but like she would definitely know better than I would.
Yeah, and then you get into like publishing and stuff, and trying to talk to editors and publishers and all that mess. And
you have like a limitation on how many pages you can have, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be a writer, or you know, I think I'm a decent writer. I don't know, but
I mean, we've had numerous discussions where we like go back and look at like movies or shows or video games, and we talk about like how we think it would have been better. Like just recently, we discussed like Star Wars. Had a pretty in-depth conversation with that, and without spoiling anything, the one big thing that you and I discussed that would have made it better, they missed out, and like it's the one thing everyone is kind of talking about right now. So if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. If you haven't, we're not spoiling anything. But so stuff like that, and like how we've jokingly said, oh, we should like write a movie,
right? Exactly,
write a game or a story.
And I would like to develop a game. Actually, I would like to sort of take lead in a game and sort of in a weird way sort of develop a game so that I can compose music for it.
No, I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you have plenty of friends that could help actually bring that all together.
It's
just a matter of when we can all do it.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. Okay, so next question. What's important about music?
Music is a language that anyone can speak. Forgive the cliche, but like it touches on something about being a human that normal communication doesn't do. Or to quote Michael Trepanier, he said it's the tie that binds. It really connects everything. And you can go as far back as like hunter-gatherer tribes and whatever, and like rhythm and music and the voice is all a part that is so integral to being a human and being sort of connected with each other. And through that, to me, I think that it also helps drive the message that I have about love and about acceptance. It's one thing to sort of say the things, but it's another thing to use music to communicate that. Yeah.
Sally asks, who has been a major influence in your musical work?
Oh, geez.
You kind of noted one earlier.
Yeah. So Radiohead is my favorite band. And they've just been influential in how I think of production and just structure and rhythm, and very, very musically complex as well as very passionate. And then Brand New is my second favorite band. I'm sorry that Jesse Lacey did some terrible things. But Jesse Lacey is also my favorite lyricist, and the amount of passion that goes into the music, though it is consistently, sad, it's actually very good, like positive in a negative way, in a weird way.
And you've met him in person, right?
No, I haven't met Jesse Lacey.
I thought you did.
No,
during one of the concerts.
No, I think the only artist that I sort of appreciate that I've met has been I met Maynard at the master class.
Well, no, who was the girl that drew?
Right. That was for Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And Brand New and Taking Back Sunday have a weird history together. But Jesse Lacey wasn't Taking Back Sunday, and then other stuff happened. Anyways.
Sorry.
Modest Mouse is another one of my favorite bands. Tool, though heavier, the message of spirituality is very rich in Tool. Death Cab for Cutie, stuff that has really allowed me to sort of continue in a weird way as a human being, that all that music got me through through everything. Mm-hmm. And it still gets me through everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How is writing songs different from composing?
Writing songs, obviously there's words, but that is sort of the difference, is that, to me at least, I usually have the theme or the words themselves sort of decide what the song should be. Mm-hmm. And so, if I write an angry poem, because that's usually how I start writing songs, I write a poem, then that angry poem will determine heavier guitars and, louder singing, whatever that might be. Whereas composing sort of takes alternate approaches, in that rather than have words sort of dictate the intent, it's sort of the intent to begin with that I start with. And so, if I want to write something that sounds like X, or for example, one of my ambient songs, I think it's Ambient 5, but it's now called Swamp. That one I started as, I want to write something that sounds like a swamp. And so that sort of dictated the composition from there. Mm-hmm. And so generally I'll have the intent, and the sound will sort of communicate that. Whereas with songs, the words will communicate the intent, mm-hmm. and then the sound will sort of contribute to it. But yeah, it really is mostly a difference in words. Mm-hmm. A composition that doesn't have words has to communicate the whole message without using any words.
Right. Well, still on the songwriting side of it, going on to the next question, what do you normally write your music about? You had said you do a lot of hypothetical scenarios.
Yeah.
Before.
I think it sort of helps on my writer-y side, mm-hmm. In that I try and think of situations and communicate an idea, and by having sort of a hypothetical situation to work with, it sort of helps me, mm-hmm. to sort of say the message in a more specific way. Mm-hmm. People relate to stories, and I think I relate to stories. And so what may start out as a idea of, oh, well, how quaint is it to be a fish, mm-hmm. then that leads me to write Koi, which is a song from the point of view of a fish. No, right. I've never been a fish, mm-hmm. but it's really about trying to get an idea of something and then expressing it with a situation. And so that's really most of what I end up writing about is communicating situations and ideas through some sort of story as it unfolds. And so, Late has a story attached to it that mm-hmm. has never happened to me. Red is attached to a greater story of the game Transistor. And so I really enjoy telling stories through songs. But more so than the story, it's about sort of the general theme that it's supposed to convey. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay. To further elaborate on that, I had asked you, what do you want people to understand about your music?
Really that that it's saying something. More than just something to sort of listen to and make you feel a certain way. You know, effective music is evocative music. But what I want to be understood is that it is saying something. There is a central idea in my music, in whatever the song might be or whatever it might be trying to communicate. And hopefully, if you listen enough, or if I did my job well enough, over time you can really see that theme or that idea expressed in the song. And it is much more than just, ooh, this is a fun song, or ooh, this is a sad song. It's really more about the specific idea or the specific story that I'm trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get that out of my music, then I did my job well and you listened well.
Mm-hmm. How do you approach your compositions?
I said that a little bit earlier. I know I wrote some of these questions somewhat redundantly, but sometimes I'll start out with an initial idea and sort of communicate that through the sound of the music. Other times, the composition sort of finds itself.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where I just have some notes going. And kind of like with my string quartet, that the notes were there, and I wasn't entirely sure where I was going, but all I needed to do was sort of follow where the music was taking me, and really it was me taking me there, but I allowed the composition to fulfill itself. And so a lot of times, I'm trying to convey an idea. And sometimes the ideas convey themselves without my intent.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to actually kind of talk more about video games next. What is it about video game music that you specifically want to do?
So in video game music, being different from like a score, like a film score, is that, I mean, it's in the principle of the game itself, but like in a movie, there is a timeline, and that timeline happens, and the music will always follow that. And there's a level of skill to that. But then it's a different skill in a game. Sort of, you don't know if a player is going to breeze through this fight or breeze through this level, or if they're going to stand in one corner, set their controller down, and go and make a sandwich. And so making video game music takes a level of skill that is making music that is interesting enough to evoke the right thing in the right situation, but also not repetitive enough to where it gets super annoying each time that you hear it. But then it's also very dynamic, and making music that adapts to what the player is doing, what's happening to the player, is very different than matching up music to a timeline. And so that to me is much more interesting because it allows for many more possibilities. Also, I just love video games.
Fair enough. What are some games that have greatly influenced you?
I mean, I've already talked about Transistor, and the music was very rich in Transistor and was very important to the story of Transistor. Fable had the game would sort of feel incomplete. The whimsy of the game wouldn't be as complete without the music in it. But Fable tells a good story and puts some humor in it, but never has the humor override the importance of the story. Others, Portal and Portal 2, having a game teach you and challenge you in a way that's really rewarding and really fun, and doing so in a very creative way. Inside and Limbo, telling a complete story without using any words at all, and having all of the sounds and the music sort of be integrated in that there is no soundtrack, and it is all a soundtrack at the same time in Inside. And so I've really been influenced by a lot of indie projects. Stuff from like Supergiant, that made Transistor and Bastion and now Pyre. Playdead, who did Inside. Firewatch was really good. The Talos Principle was really good. Recently, Doki Doki Literature Club. Stuff like that tells a story in a way that is very engaging, but also tells the story in a way that only a video game can.
Right.
Yeah.
Still referring to video games, how do you think video games are evolving as an art form? Because you kind of were touching base with that, that they only do something only video games seem to tell.
Yeah, I think that. I guess. Yeah, I think that video games are now able to tell stories and create worlds and feelings that are beyond just like a fun pastime. Yeah, they're like, a lot of games are fun, and that's really their whole purpose. But now it's beginning to look a lot more like how film is treated as an art form, or how photography or sculpture or whatever, that there really is an art to making a good game.
Right.
And so rather than just be a fun thing to mash buttons on, video games are now able to be art. And I think that is encompassed very clearly in Inside, as well as games like Journey and Flower.
I really want to play Journey.
Yeah, me too. Because I haven't played Journey yet.
It does look aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah,
and like I have honestly no concept of it, but just seeing the artwork from it, and I think it's one of I could be very, very wrong, but it kind of looks like one of those where it's like Inside, where there's really no text or anything. You just kind of have to go with it, and you kind of learn as you go. But I could be very wrong, because again, I haven't really seen much gameplay, and I kind of don't want to, because I mean, I don't think there's spoilers, but I would want to go into it blind, so that way I'm not expecting something.
Yeah, and that is kind of something with video games now, is that that's sort of how you can tell that games are evolving as an art form, because it's like, oh no, I don't want this thing to be spoiled. And so, go play Doki Doki Literature Club. It's free, and there's something really significant there, but I can't tell you what that is.
Well, just like what we were discussing the other night, like, because I feel like it's not very popular, but you've told me that since it's been winning, like, People's Awards right now, it means that it is doing really well.
Yeah.
And I guess I look at it from, like, another artist's point of view of, like, I don't see too much art of it, or too many, like, artist alley kind of stuff, if you will, basically. And also, I feel like I don't see too many cosplayers from it. And
Mhm.
typically from like a lot of other games or something, I feel like I see it like within a week of its release.
Right.
But I feel like with this one, I haven't seen too much of it. So that's why it confused me as to like, is it really that popular or is it just low key popular and it's going to blow up like Freddy's did?
Or like Undertale.
Or Undertale, yeah, where it's like, you know, only like certain people who knew about it really liked it, but like the masses didn't really know about it until later. That's why I feel like with YouTubers like Mark and PewDiePie, now that, and I think even Jack, now that they're playing it, it's going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next year they're already releasing the second game. Both you and I have already listened to Game Theorists' ideas on it, and I'm super stoked for it. And I haven't even played it, but I already know everything about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that games now can tell a story in such a way that whenever you spend so much time with these characters, with these people in a different way than you would in a movie, because you interact with these people dynamically. And so you get to know Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us much differently than you would if The Last of Us was just a movie.
Yeah.
Or getting to know Booker and Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite in such a different way than...
Well, it's like you see character development, but you see it as them at the same time. Or kind of like, kind of in reference with like Steven from Steven Universe, we, the viewers, are learning at the same pace he is. And so that's why maybe a lot of people really appreciate him as a character, because he can be so relatable in that, and we see his character development, but we see his flaws too. Like in the most recent one, like the way he behaved, without giving any spoilers, is like a common response that I think a lot of people have, where they're not really naive about it, but like just unaware, I think, because they've never like been in that situation.
Yeah.
And then like the next episode, you see him kind of acting like a teenager.
Right. And expressing guilt in a real way.
You're finally seeing a different side of him than the typical super happy, bubbly, always sees the brighter side of things Steven. He's kind of like, it's kind of like he is actually growing up in the way that like young children do, where they're so doughy-eyed. Everything is like happy-go-lucky. But like once you reach a certain part in your life, like you kind of get that veil removed, or it starts to like slip open or whatever.
Yeah.
So went on a tangent there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so going into art, what is the importance of art to you then?
Art is sort of the greater umbrella that encompasses music. Music is art. Video games are art. And once again, it's more like a tie that binds. It's a communication without language. It's a way of touching on ideas and like getting in your brain without necessarily having to dig through all of the other stuff whenever you're communicating with people.
Right.
And so art, in the same way as you can look at the Sistine Chapel, is also art in the way that Shia LaBeouf weeps in front of people in a performance installation. And I do consider myself an artist, in that the things that I do, I'm trying to convey a message. I'm trying to express something, and it's prevalent in the things that I want to do. And so I treat art significantly.
Right. Then what's the difference between a musician and an artist, would you say?
I mean, you can be an artist and a musician, but you can also be a musician and not an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there can be a musician who just like plays their music and plays it well, and sort of like you can be a music robot in that, like, hey, look, I ingest the notes and put them out in the correct way. But to really be an artist is to really take the music and interpret it, and make it come out as special as you feel it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some interpretation, and you have to put yourself into it. And so to be an artist, even if you're playing music that has all of the notes there, to really be artistic with it is to put yourself in it.
Mm-hmm.
And art is sort of, it's a human thing.
Would you almost say that you could kind of relate, like what you're saying with like the conversation you've had when explaining talent versus skill?
Yeah. But in a different way, because like the way that I see talent and skill, and I guess I can explain that a little bit, is that,
I mean, did someone ask that or no?
no. But
Just double checking.
yeah. But I'll quickly elaborate on that. I see talent as sort of a starting point in the race. That if you're in a certain discipline, you sort of want to get to this finish line of like mastery.
Mm-hmm.
And so with a talent, you might start farther down in the race. But everyone has to develop skills at some point. And so even if you are not very talented, if you work really hard and develop your skill, you can reach mastery in the same way that a very talented person can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that a part of developing a skill is sort of putting yourself into it, having a passion for it enough in order to continue to develop and grow, as whether it be being an artist or being a good cook or whatever that might be. There's an art to that in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have a bachelor's in music production. What is your favorite role of the recording process?
I forgot I wrote this question down and I already answered it. But my favorite role of the recording process is being a producer, and sort of helping myself or others to make their music in the best way that they can. That to me is probably one of the more important parts of the recording process. That's where a lot of passion goes into, because that's whenever you really are with a real person putting in the music and the humanity in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to kind of go away from the music part of your interview. Why did you start a podcast?
I started a podcast because I consider myself a messenger.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons. The actual like foundational reason as to why I was like, I should have a podcast, is because I really like talking to people.
Very true.
If you know me well enough, you know that if we get talking about anything, we will continue to talk until we are forcibly made to stop talking. Whether that be time or that be it starts raining or something. That the way that I communicate with people best is this good one-on-one, long-winded, deep stuff conversation. Mm-hmm. And so in starting the podcast, it sort of gave me an excuse to continue to do that with people. Mm-hmm. Because those are the most fulfilling conversations that I've had with people. And it's how I've grown closer to some of my best friends. And the people who are my best of friends are the people that I've been able to have these sorts of conversations with. And so doing that with everyone has allowed me to grow closer to people. But then the other reason is that it's really about getting perspective. Mm-hmm. I have my own perspective, but it can be as closed off to me, and I can, make my whole world an echo chamber and decide never to listen to anyone else. But to be able to talk to different people and get to know them and learn their beliefs has really allowed me to get different perspectives, see what's important to people, and not just to me. And it's really helped me grow as a person.
Okay. Well, then what's the format of the podcast?
So the format of the podcast allows me to, so first of all, there's an interview. Mm-hmm. And in that interview, I ask, what do you do? Because it's, easy for people to answer.
Breaks the ice.
And it allows people to sort of get a glimpse of who they are. Mm-hmm. Because if art is something that's important to you, or if cooking is important to you, or if, I don't know, it's the thing that you do most and the thing that you interact with the most. And so it's clearly important to you. And so everyone has a different perspective on that. And so that's really how I start, is by, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And then, why do you do that? What got you into that? And sort of the greater questions on that thing. Because every single person has a whole world that they're living in. And, to go back to Sunny, the crime scene investigation world is entirely different from the building and making guitars world, which is what Fan does. And so there's a whole world in all of these things, and it's very interesting to get to know. And then I ask about spirituality and religion, and that sort of, you get to know people in a very different way whenever you know what their core views about the universe are. Mm-hmm. And so, and then after learning that and learning how they've grown spiritually or whatever that might be, how that contributes to what they do in their everyday life. I consider myself a philosopher as well, and that learning people's philosophy and morality helps everyone to understand each other. And so that's really the point of the spirituality question. And then on the second podcast, we talk about anything, because once we're able to talk about your beliefs on the universe, then we can kind of be like, hey man, isn't this thing interesting? So yeah, because then you can have a conversation about anything, and it can be a really good conversation, really fulfilling conversation, and you can learn a whole lot. And I think that we can all become better people if we just communicate more. Yeah.
Okay, well, then we'll dive into the spiritual portion of the podcast, as you described before. So what is the role of spirituality or religion in your life?
I am not religious, but I am very spiritual. And it's very important to me to be connected to people. It's very important to me to, in a weird way, feel connected to the universe and everything around us. And so spirituality is very important to me, even though I don't believe in anything mystical or whatever that might be. Regardless of the lack of magic that I see in the world, there's a lot of real magic, per se, that we can all connect with. And being connected with each other is how we can, I don't know, overcome. Love is the meaning of life. Yeah.
With that being said, how has being raised Catholic shaped your moral views?
So, yes, I was raised Catholic, and it really helped me to be a good person, in that the values that are put into Catholicism. And yeah, you can really look at Catholicism and go like, oh, well, it's just like a whole bunch of rules and follow all the rules and stuff. But if you go a layer deeper, there's a reason to all of the rules. There's a reason as to why all of these things are in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so having gotten to that sort of level of Catholicism for me was allowing me to sort of see the reasons for the rules. And so I got to a point of like, hey, like, love each other, love God. And so a lot of those Catholic principles are still a part of my philosophy. You know, not killing and not lying and all this sort of stuff, because not only because God says so, but also because, like, it's good for you and everyone else. And so being Catholic allowed me to get a more nuanced view of morality once I was involved in it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, God, question mark?
Yay, God, question mark. This is my belief, and you don't have to agree with it, but I do not believe in God. And yeah, it's the universe is too gigantic and vast, and time is too long for there to be a man in the sky with a beard that tells us not to touch your balls. And I mean, we're not even that special. So like, I don't think we would even be able to talk to the dude. But like, it just feels unlikely to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I feel. I can't say for certainty, obviously. Nothing is ever 100% certain. But I find it very, very unlikely.
Okay. Do you think like there is something there, or I mean, like, why do you think Christians, or just people, I guess, in general, whether if it's the Christian God or any God, I guess, like, bring it up?
Right. I think at some point it sort of started out as like a Gaia type thing, like God is the planet. And you know, I think that the universe, you could consider the universe to be God. The vast expanse of everything combining into the proteins and molecules and cells that we now became, and that we all come from stardust. We are all made of the same stuff. We are all each other, and we will all die and become the universe again, although we still are the universe. And so it is a good view to hold, that like we are all interconnected by this greater thing. But once you get into like specifics and stuff, that's where it starts being a little bit more hazy.
Would you almost say it's kind of like the concept that they brought up with like Futurama, where it's like just this entity that could have formed life as we know it, not necessarily like personifying it as like this white-haired, bearded old man in the sky on a cloud kind of thing?
Right.
Because I do like that idea, I think, a little bit more, instead of like, because we only know beings as ourselves.
Right.
So like immediately we personify God as the white-haired, bearded man in the sky. Because that's all we know. For all we know, he could look completely different.
Right. Or be a she. Or not have a gender and just be a thing. Yeah, and I think that it's natural, to use that word incorrectly. It's natural to personify and anthropomorphize things that we see around us. The river seems alive, and so you call it she, and then you name the river, and then at certain times the river has different behaviors and it behaves like a human. And so we
So would you say you believe more kind of like spirits, like things have a spirit, kind of like in some religions, like everything has a spirit, so like every like part of nature or every animal, kind of like I'm forgetting my names right now, but like the religion in Japan,
Shinto.
Thank you. That's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. How like the trees have spirits, or the rivers, or different animals.
Right.
Like, do you believe in that?
I don't. Like, I can see where people get it from, but nah, dog. We're all just chemicals.
Then what about like the other versions of God of other religions? Has any of them made sense? Versus the Christianity God, or do you just feel like there is no deity anywhere?
And this will be more prevalent with the next question, but like there is no will, like there is no thing that decides the thing that is going to happen. Like it really just is. We all just are. And that is the greater love of the universe, that we get to be. And I mean, yeah, looking at the vast expanse of the universe and the fact that it took millions and billions of years for us to become what we are now is ridiculous and astounding. And it's beautiful, and it's all love. The universe creating people that can experience the universe is weird, but it's love. The fact that we can be here and love. But there is no thing, no being that decides or moves our things. We all just are. To me, that is.
Right. Then free will? Question mark?
So I don't believe in free will. And of course, I always have to explain this in a sense that just because we don't have free will doesn't mean that we don't decide what we do. We definitely do decide what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Every choice that you've ever made has been your decision. It's just that every choice that you've ever made has been contributed to by a previous factor.
Right.
And so every choice that you've ever made is exactly the choice that you would have made. And every choice that you're going to make is exactly the choice that you're going to make. And even if you decide to go, ooh, I know this is the choice that I would normally make, so I'll do this choice. It's like, yeah, that is the choice. That is exactly the choice that you would have made as well.
So none of those whole like predestined or like the whole question like, do you think you can outthink God in your actions? I know that was like a big debate that we had in philosophy class. Like, can you do something where God, quote unquote, didn't see it coming, kind of thing? Like to you,
right.
Like to you, you think no matter what, like that was what was going to happen regardless.
This is what's happening. We are what's happening, and everything, all of your chemicals in your brain, all of the genes, every experience that you've ever had contributed to everything that you have been and everything that you're going to be. And it's not a hopeless notion. It's just more of a factual notion to me. And so, yeah, what it allows me to do is, in a weird way, have more empathy towards everyone. Because, in a weird way, it's not their fault. Nothing is ever really anyone's fault, because they are just doing exactly that which the universe calculated them to be. And so whenever a criminal does something, it's not, you are bad, you should be punished. What we should do instead is go, what happened in the environment to make this person happen? And what can we do to the environment to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And we should do that with every person that is hurtful to society. We should be engaged and take care of one another and make sure that everyone is educated, everyone is caring, because if not, that is the formula that the universe makes. And so, yeah, if you take a dog and you continually beat him or her, of course that dog is going to become very skittish and then will just bite anyone, because it's not their fault. That's what they were raised to be.
Right.
And so are people. Yeah.
Excuse me. So then what led you away from religion?
At some point, I felt as though religion didn't love enough. I think that while religion may proclaim a sort of universal type love, at some point people start devaluing each other for not following the rules well enough. People start judging each other for not following the rules well enough, or judging each other for following the rules too well. And I really felt as though having these sorts of judgments about this person, if they do these things, they're going to go to heaven, or this person is going to do these things and they're going to go to hell. And I just think there wasn't enough love in that. It's not loving to bring someone into the world and make all of their life experiences and all of their genes turn them into a bad person and then put them in hell for all eternity. Like, that's not their fault. And so the initial spark was I wanted more love. But yeah, the more that I learned about science, the more that I learned about the way that people work, just the more that I learned led me to, rather than choose to not believe, it's more that I didn't have a choice about whether or not I believed. You can't just flip your beliefs on and off. It happened to me. I eventually kept learning about more things that led me to not believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think it's fair to say that your beliefs do turn on and off. I mean, I can definitely speak for that, and I've always heard the term saying you're going through a different season in your spirituality
Mm-hmm.
because, maybe one day you're super hyped and with God and everything's going your way, but then of course you have days where you start cursing at his name,
Mm-hmm.
or like you just suddenly have doubt. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely applaud the people that are consistent and have that kind of faith, and but I understand that's not for everybody
Mm-hmm.
because everyone is different, everyone's raised differently, everyone has different views on it
Right.
and whatnot. But like, I do think it's fair to say that it can be switched on and off. It just depends on the person.
Mm.
I think to kind of have it remained off, either like that's more of an inward thing, a more personal thing. So like for you, if you feel like there just wasn't enough love coming from it, maybe that's like what just officially cut it off.
Mm.
Or I know we've talked about it's kind of the hypocrisy of it all
Mm-hmm.
has been a big role as to maybe why.
Mm-hmm.
And I can even say that's kind of one of the things for me is the hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, it just depends on the person.
Right. I do think that for me, I never decided. There was never a decision moment where I was like, "Yep, I decide that I am done." It happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It
kind of like this feeling that just came over and you were just like,
yeah.
with it.
It was actually in one of my first podcasts. I think my second podcast actually about my spiritual journey. But I'll say it again is that I was listening to this audiobook while taking a shower of Catch-22. And they were in this air raid, and one of the people on the plane had been hit with shrapnel. And the main character goes to this person, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? And the guy's like, I'm cold. And he like puts, he like sees that there's just like a small wound, like near his armpit or something. And he like, patches that up real quickly and puts like his parachute over him. It's like, oh, like, this will make you warmer. And he's still like, I'm cold. But then he like pulls his like suit away.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's this big like open like gash and like his guts are spilling out.
Ooh.
And at that point he was like, oh, I can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really at that point where, in combination with all the other things that I had been reading about and learning about and stuff, it was at that point that I was like, there's no Satan. It's just us. We did the war thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you'll have people say like it's Satan that tempted us, or like that like voice inside your head that tempted us. But I mean, again, that's just one belief. I
Right.
don't believe it, but
yeah. But that was really the thing that happened to me. That was that moment whenever I was like, oh, I have no choice anymore. This is just what is my brain now. And that, yeah, I didn't have a choice in that matter. It just happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
it just kind of like the switch just kind of
yeah.
happened.
But yeah, I don't flip that switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't control that.
Mm-hmm. How can you be without a God and still have moral?
Yes, the quintessential atheist, amoral thing. Existence and consciousness still are what they are, regardless of whether or not there is or isn't a God. And so, in order to make existence better for all of those that are conscious, we should behave in such a way that benefits people. And so I like enjoying existence, and I would hope that other people, like, it makes me enjoy existence even more whenever other people enjoy existence. And so, regardless of there being a God or not, I care about people. I have no choice about caring about people. And so behaving in such a way that helps people is sort of my moral guideline. And so, yeah, it doesn't have much to do with God. I don't believe in God, and I don't fear God, and I don't necessarily do or do not do what God says because God says so, but I do what is moral and help people because I want to make existence better for everyone. Yeah.
You said that you dislike all religions. Why is that?
Yeah, I have a certain distaste for religion in general. And it is because of the one, the unwillingness to adapt. There are religions that do adapt, but in general, you know, God is eternal, and this is his unchanging word, with the context of Judeo-Christian religions. But then it also applies to lots of other religions where it's like, this is the thing that has been set, and we will not change that. That does not change. And so that is just asking for stagnation, asking for trouble. And unless you adapt with the universe's changes, the universe is going to eat you whole. And so sticking to traditions that over time we've come to realize are harmful and hurt people.
Like what?
Female genital mutilation through Islam, and other religions, in that they cut off the clitoris of females, so that they can't enjoy sexual pleasure in, the best way. And that is barbaric and morbid. And there's no reason for that anymore. And there's never been a reason for that. And to hold on to a belief, and no, not every person that believes in that religion believes that, but that is something that people do, and that's not a good thing. And so if you're allowing a belief system to exist, and that belief system allows horrible things to happen, encourages horrible things, or allows horrible things to happen, then it's really just not helping anyone. And so, the Old Testament is pretty morbid in the Bible. The Hadith is pretty morbid. The Bhagavad Gita talks a lot about war, and all these sorts of things that, religion might encourage terrible things at times. And yeah, people adapt and become less strict about those things, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets kind of scary.
Valid reasoning. Give a short explanation of your 3 things.
Yay. So, love never fails does come from the Bible. It's 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is the meaning of life. If it's not the meaning of life, it is my value judgment to make it so. That by having love be the meaning of life, we can be the best to each other that we can. That, like I said earlier, that the universe being what it is, infinite and vast, in both space and time, in making conscious creatures that can experience, we are the universe experiencing itself. And that is a massive amount of love. To be able to experience is the greatest of love. And when we consider everything that we do through a lens of love, we can become better people. Short-ish, love never fails. It's going to be okay. There's sort of a nihilistic and then an optimistic point of view to that. The nihilistic point is that the universe is infinite in both time and space. And so we are but a blink of a blink of a blink in the vast expanse of the universe. And so no matter what happens in our lifetime, we will die, and then everything will keep going forever. And that's fine. But at the same time, this is the only experience that we're ever going to have, I believe. I don't believe in an afterlife, and so the sooner that we make things okay to ourselves, the better that we can be. And so if a bad thing happens to you, you can either go, oh no, this is so bad, I would rather not live anymore. And then you die, and then cool, all of the suffering is done in your life now. Now it's okay. Or you go, well, this sucks, but I have to get over this and learn from this experience and grow as a person and then be okay. And then you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, whether you like it or not, it's going to be okay. Hopefully you continue to live your life and make it okay for yourself and make it okay for other people. But yeah, no matter what, it's going to be okay. And then I might be wrong. In short, is the spirit of science, the spirit of change, the spirit of growth. Since the universe is ever changing, ever expanding, ever moving, time is this unstoppable wall pushing us forward. There is nothing that you can make or build that is going to stay there forever. And the sooner that you adapt to every change that happens in your life, the sooner you can improve as a human being, as a society, as a culture, etc. And so just accept the fact that everything that you hold dear might be incorrect. And that's fine. And then love more. Yeah. And so those three things sort of keep me moving forward, keep me trying to be a better person. And no, I'm not perfect, but I try my best to be, and those three things are very important. Yeah.
What is your view on the current political situation?
It's all shit. The fact that we as a society, as a culture, have allowed ourselves to accept the beacon, the archetype of selfishness, does not bode well for all of us. And the sooner that we can move forward and accept each other and love each other, the sooner that we can get past this weird moment. And yeah, I guess at some point in history books, we'll look back and be like, man, wasn't that weird? We elected a cartoon character as president. And then we'll be like, glad we're not going to do that again. Yeah. Or we'll all die in a fiery hellhole, and that's what's going to happen. Neat. Either way, it'll be okay.
Yeah. What do you propose as an alternative to this system?
Oh, yay. So I'm somewhat of a, as Terry calls it, a gay space communist. In that I do find government and religion and economics and everything to be all sorts of stupid. And in order to survive on planet Earth, we have to acknowledge the principles of science. And so, first of all, we should take count. This is all the Venus Project, or greatly based on the Venus Project. Mm-hmm. First of all, take count of all the resources that we have, and be able to gauge, okay, well, how many people do we have? How many resources are available for all of these people? And then where it differs from like communism, in that communism says like there is no wealth, there is no possessions, everything belongs to everyone, and it will be redistributed by the government, which seems neat, but you can't trust the government. And so to me, rather than have a government, a group of people, or a one person judging where resources should and should not go, rather than that, it would be a big old calculator that goes, this is how many resources humans need. This is how many resources we have. Regardless of your opinion or your bias or whatever, this calculator says you get this many resources. It doesn't matter. And then through using technology to be able to advance energy and food production and just efficiency and sustainability, using technology to achieve a post-scarce society where there is no scarcity, there would not be a problem in redistributing all of the resources because there would be abundance. But that would require everyone to put all of their differences behind them, and let go of their possessions and go, oh no, but I like my giant mansion where I have 12 rooms and nothing to do with them. And people would have to learn that whatever is enough is enough. And, you know, enough in a Soviet Russia sense is not quite enough. But enough in a society that has achieved technology to a level of vastness is more than enough. So if we use technology to achieve that, we would not want for more. And then using education to make sure that everyone continues to improve that society, because there is no stopping point. There is no finish line. It's just a constant adaptation towards something better. We continue to move towards the line of the asymptote, but we will never actually reach it. Yeah.
Then is world peace possible?
A great resounding yes. But it requires communication. It requires love. It requires education. It requires unity. It is definitely possible, but we all have to know each other and know the information.
I think in order for it to happen, because I think majority of the people have like kind of like the same idea for an end goal, just different means of getting there, probably resources, and then just motivation. Because like as I've told you before, like just through the internet alone, we all kind of share like a common brain in a way of like how things work, or like especially for our generation, since honestly I still don't know if we fall under millennial or not, but regardless, older generations do look down on us, thinking like, especially during the election and everything, they looked at us as if we don't know anything, and that we're wrong, they're always right, because they're older, they've been through more. But I have always found it rather interesting how a generation that is claimed to have no knowledge of anything, we seem to have a great knowledge of a lot of things.
Right.
Like maybe we're not super book savvy, or maybe we're not super street smart about something, but I feel like majority we cover a lot.
Yeah.
You know. And also it's just a different way of how we've grasped it, and it's a different generation, so things are a lot different. It's not as, I don't know, it's not the same as how it used to be, you know, like 30 years ago or even like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Together we know everything.
Yeah. And I think that's incredible. But just because together we all know everything doesn't mean that it's going to happen like overnight. It's almost like having too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like everyone wants to do something, but like in the end, it's like some way or another, someone's going to get in someone's way, someone's toes going to be stepped on.
Right.
You're going to have people that are going to be spatting at other people because they're not doing it right, or all kinds of stuff. There's still going to be like a conflict unless like we all mutually agree on it.
Yeah. And that's why we have to communicate. That's why we have to get to know each other, get to know every single different perspective, and get to know where these problems arise, and get to know why certain people have these problems.
Or even just like not to take stuff so personally. Something I've noticed, like I guess like in talking with my mother, like something that she has kind of voiced about is like she feels like she can't voice her own opinions without like someone coming back and like backhanding her in a way. Or like recently, I don't know the full extent of it, but she kind of was telling me how like there's these activists that are out there saying like, oh, free speech, but like as soon as you give your opinion, they're like, no, shut up, kind of thing. So she says that their mentality is, well, my opinion matters and not yours, but free speech, know. So it's kind of stuff like that. So it's like, again, I think the mass of our species knows what we want, but it's, again, too many too many cooks in the kitchen, and someone's stepping on someone's toes.
Yeah.
We all want that same goal. We want that like end result of like a meal, if you will. But there's too many ways to get there.
Yeah.
Then the final question, at least on this portion
side,
yeah. What advice do you have for people?
My advice is really just based upon my 3 things. Love never fails, so love everyone, talk to everyone, get to know everyone, talk to the people that you disagree with, get to know why they disagree with you, get to know every single part of their arguments and discrepancies or whatever, and love them, love everyone, love the universe. You don't have to like everyone, but you should love them. Then it's going to be okay, no matter what you go through. You're gonna be all right. And things may seem difficult at times, but at some point you're gonna be all right. And then I might be wrong. Sometimes you have to let go of your firm position, and just accept that, yeah, maybe this is hurtful, or yeah, maybe this is bigoted, or maybe this is smug, whatever that might be. Just keep that guy on your shoulder telling you, like, are you sure? Because at the end of the day, like, it's fine if you're wrong. Adapt. Continue to grow and move. Yeah.
Okay, so now on to the listener questions.
Yay. Thank you all, first of all, for sending in all of your questions. I know I had to badger everyone to do so, but I got a lot of good questions and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah. The first one is actually mine that you have here. I had asked, what's been your favorite conversation on the podcast?
Oh, geez. So I have some favorites for some different reasons. And I'm going to miss out on some, of course, because, like, picking a favorite child.
Right.
But going in, like, recent things. So last week's Maxwell's second one was really good. Because there was some slight disagreement, and disagreement creates interest in conversation. And so we disagreed upon whether or not punching Nazis is good or bad. So you can listen to that and hear my points and their points. So, yeah. And then Coley's second one. Because, again, there was some slight disagreement, but it was also very productive to have that conversation. It was very interesting. It was about Christianity in the modern world. Dustin and Michael's, the one about analog and digital, because I'm a fangirl, and it was great to have 2 people that I greatly admire be on the podcast, and a lot of people have told me that they found that podcast really interesting as well. So I was just really glad to have them at all. Sally and I had some really good ones. We put out like 4 of them or something, just because it's like we just got to talking and then just kept recording, and so they got to be a lot of fun that way. But there was some really good stuff in there. Say One Nice Couple one, because I thought it was really like special and important, and hopefully that'll help some people. And then Fans was really special. It was great to talk to him about spirituality and politics and stuff. But then also he told me a very special story afterwards, and it really stuck with me. So I really appreciated that one. And there's lots of other conversations that have been really good. And sorry I didn't mention everyone's or whatever, but yeah, I enjoy a lot of them and all of them. Thank you.
Terry asks, how do you reconcile being a self-avowed communist?
Yes.
And also advocating some aspects of
classically liberal.
Yeah. That.
So Terry trying to call out contradictions in my beliefs. So I'm not necessarily a communist, because gulags are bad. But yes, I have some classically liberal views of property rights, because I generally have 2 perspectives regarding my sort of political approach. And so the first aspect is like what I think should be in my ideal version of society. But, I'm not an idiot. I'm not expecting that society to happen in my lifetime or very easily. But I do have that view of an ideal society to me. But then I also have to be practical. And so I also acknowledge what would be more manageable or more practical within this society. And so having some classically liberal property rights, or just classically liberal things in general, like, oh, should a conservative Christian be allowed to bake a gay wedding cake? And it's like, or be forced to bake a gay wedding cake. And it's like, no, that's messed up. And that's like, that's a libertarian point of view, but within this society, like, yeah, that it makes sense. If you have to apply values in universals. And so if you're going to force people to do things against their will, then you're going to allow everyone to do things against their will. Or if you're going to not allow people to do things against their will, then, hold on to that as well. Yeah.
Terry also asks, how do you feel about the direction Gen Z is going politically? Is that part of the question?
Yeah, well, it's more like a fact. Do you want me to read that part?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so projections suggest that they will be moderate Republicans or libertarian on average as a cultural response to the millennial infatuation with socialist ideals. Yeah, so I think that it's fairly reasonable for the next generation to sort of fight back against the sort of regressive liberalism that has been happening politically. And, I also agree that there should be some fighting back as far as, again, you have to be consistent if you're going to make values. And so if free speech is a value, then make it a universal value rather than free speech, but only to those who are less privileged, or free speech, but only to those, et cetera, et cetera. And so while I'm not necessarily happy about the fact that more people are going to be more generally selfish by the way that libertarian values tend to go. I'm looking at you, Ayn Rand. I think that, it does make sense for there to be a sort of response against the liberal and regressive liberal views that have been so prevalent lately. But I do think that more people should care about each other. So that's also important. So I hope that people still care about each other in the next generation as well. Yeah.
Next question. Sus asked 2 questions. Why do my farts hurt sometimes? You want to go ahead and answer that now?
Well, maybe you should wait to heal up before you fart again. I don't know. I don't know what kind of stuff you do with your butt, but just take it easy, man.
He also asked, how do you think your podcast has evolved from the first one, and what have you learned?
Okay, so I think, first of all, I've grown as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I had this initial intent of, doing this podcast, talking to people, getting to know people in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've gotten better at talking to people. But also, I've gotten better at asking the right questions. And so, if you listen to some of the older podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
The questions that I'd have were the start of the second half of the interview was more like, what do you believe? And that's really difficult to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And while I ask difficult to answer questions, it's not so much about asking difficult questions. It's more about questions that encourage conversation.
Right.
And then another thing that I've learned is preparation is important. If I know a little bit about the guest, I will write down questions beforehand. But honestly, it's more about mental preparation. Knowing that, okay, this is the kind of person that I'm talking to. This is what I think they do, at least, because sometimes I don't know exactly what it is that we do, but just kind of being prepared, knowing a little bit of who the person is and what it is that I'm getting into. And so just being mentally prepared. But also, can't always be prepared. So sometimes stuff happens, or sometimes a good question pops up, and everyone's human. And so really just going with the flow as well.
Okay. Campbell asked, do you think there's a reason why bands slash musicians get better with time, but movies are always seen to never hold up against the original in the intellectual property? And do you think the same thing could happen with music?
So to better sum up that question, bands and music gets better with time, but movies always kind of seem to make newer versions or whatever, and then you kind of look at the newer version and it's ugh.
Like reboots?
Yeah. Like Ghostbusters or the Star Wars, Anakin trilogy. And yeah, I think music gets better with time. Probably there's the sake that the bands were in their more pure form whenever they're starting out. And then kind of in the same way that movies were. But bands also continue to change and make more stuff over time, and so they evolve as people. although, I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen and they just like sell out or whatever. But usually, like, their old stuff still holds up.
Mhm.
And then if they're still a good musician as they go on, I think Radiohead has always been very, very good. And even their most recent album is still very, very good. But then you look at, stuff like the new Ghostbusters or whatever, and it's like, ugh, this is like a weird, soulless version of the thing.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I
haven't
haven't
seen any
either.
of them.
But that's what I've been told. And so, really, it's more that, like, remakes are trying to cash in on, like, nostalgia. And
Yeah, we've kind of learned that a lot lately. More so, I think, within the past 5 years.
yeah.
Just with movies in general, like, again, the reboots of just anything or remakes of anything. Even, like, the live action Disney fairy tales.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but Maddie actually just went to go see Jumanji yesterday with her family, and she actually really liked it. They do kind of make a nod towards Robin Williams' character, but she didn't say how. But she said, like, it's not as, like, kid friendly. But I mean, when you have the type of comedians in it, it makes sense because they're not. Well, Jack Black is. Kevin Hart is a little bit more adult friendly than
no, Jack Black is in Tenacious D, and that is a whole lot of.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, he's done, like, a lot of kid stuff before.
Right. Yeah, and he's capable of doing kid stuff.
Yeah. And then
Tenacious D has a song called "Fuck Her Gently," so.
I haven't listened to too much other than what you've showed me, so.
Yeah, but movies really cash in on IP because it's much more risky whenever you're making a $1 million production. It's really risky to, make a new IP and try and expect people to go ahead and see it versus if you put, the name Jumanji on it, even though it, like, that movie would probably be fine on its own, but in order to make sure that people, like, go and see this movie,
right, they
put the Jumanji name on it.
Which is what honestly made me not want to see it at first, because I was like, why? The whole reason of the first movie was to get out of it and, like, basically destroy the game because the kids didn't know any better and whatnot. But I don't remember how it ends. It's been forever since I've seen it. But, like, to make another version of it, but I guess, like, well, I don't know. I don't know if anything comes out of the video game other than you just getting sucked in.
Right. But I think the same thing can happen with music. Again, bands tend to, like, sell out, it seems, or they just drift away from the fan base. Notable examples, people like Coldplay. Coldplay has sort of become soulless as far as what their original stuff was like. Fall Out Boy became very different from what their original stuff was like.
I really liked their Save Rock and Roll album. I thought that one was really good, and I was never really into them before.
Right.
And I like a lot of their kind of more current stuff, but that's, like, more my personal taste because I guess, like, I never really listened to them growing up.
Right, but that's kind of more of what I'm saying is that, like, they they fell away from the reason that they got sort of popular in the first place. That if they started out as, like, pop punk and it's like, hey, like, fuck the man or whatever, in a different way, like, they sort of became the man by making poppier and poppier music.
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, no, the same thing does happen with music. People change and grow over time, or they make better music, or they make more publicly appealing music. That is kind of how it goes.
Well, kind of going back to, I guess, Fall Out Boy for the moment. Well, maybe not even just with them. I guess with just bands in general. Like, not saying that they have their own agenda, but like to write music that wakes people up inside, kind of like what I think it was Jenny from Steven Universe, like what she said, where like they say something that like really wakes you up inside with either like what's going on in society or the world or whatever. Like, would you say like bands have evolved with that, have gotten better about that, or do you think that's always been there?
It depends on the band. Sometimes a band, gets too popular for themselves, and they can't speak out against the man anymore because they became the man. And someone like Metallica, who back in the day is like, yeah, rock music, fuck shit up. Their first album is called Kill 'Em All. But and then years later they're suing individual people from because they downloaded their music on Napster, which is like the most like business suit thing. Like, lawsuits are the most like the man thing. And so like, Metallica,
they were suing listeners.
Yeah, they sued people who downloaded their music off of Napster because it's piracy. But like, that's not how you go about it. You just like, if you break open a piñata, don't punish people who are grabbing the candy. Like, you want to punish the person who broke open the piñata.
True.
It's a bad metaphor, but it was the fastest thing I could think of.
It makes sense.
Metallica just became the man over time, and then made worse and worse music and digital clipping. Yeah.
I honestly could not tell you a Metallica song.
That's fine. Yeah, Enter Sandman.
Do I?
Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight, exit light. I'm not really getting into. I don't have enough James Hetfield in my voice.
It's not ringing any bells.
Okay, that's fine. We spent way too much time on your question, Campbell, but thanks.
Okay. Stewart asked, how has the way you interact with people changed through doing the podcast?
I think I've become more willing to get deep quickly in like normal conversation, because I've become more willing to just like ask really deep questions or get really deep about stuff. I've sort of realized that while I don't have a barrier from going to small talk to really deep stuff, it's also made me sort of more comfortable being that way with other people.
Right.
And it's also made me realize that other people enjoy that. So, yeah. Thanks, Stuart.
Brant asks, how do you choose what to spend your time on, knowing that regardless of your choice, your time is limited and is only diminished with every second that you spend?
How do I choose what to spend my time on? I choose what to spend my time on doing what I love. If I love the thing, then I will spend my time on that. Sometimes you have to spend your time on things that you don't love, like, day jobs or whatever. But those day jobs allow you to accomplish things that you want to do. And so, I mean, yeah, you make a sacrifice in that way, but like, enjoy what you do. So like, every moment is wonderful, and you learn to enjoy even the day job stuff or the like really boring stuff. Do what you can. But like enjoy the time that you have. And so if you do what makes you happy and love everyone, then you're spending your time pretty well. And if you're not doing what makes you happy, then take a good look at your priorities. I don't know. But enjoy even the bad stuff. It makes you appreciate the good stuff too. Yeah, your time is limited, so make it the best time that you can. Thank you, Brain.
All right. Sally also asks, what do you think would make you happy for the rest of your life? And another question, what is your one skill / ability you possess that you are very confident of?
What would make me happy for the rest of my life would be making music without worrying about the next paycheck. And so, I mean, that really is the goal for like a freelance composer, is to be able to sort of choose what games that I'm working for, or what movies or what songs I'm writing, just being able to make what I want to, or working on the things that I really care about. And so rather than, oh no, another like dumb this thing, I'd love, oh great, I love, the games that this developer makes, so I'm really happy to do the music for them. And just being able to not worry about, oh, when's my next job coming in? When's my next paycheck coming in? And just being able to do what I love without being stressed out about the survival aspect.
That is kind of like the thing about freelancing, at least at first. Like, it's hard, especially when like you're first starting out, because like people either don't know you or aware of you, and like you can keep putting your name out there, but I feel like you kind of have to find like that right moment, like either you get picked up somewhere and you finally make a name for yourself, and that's kind of like what gets you through the door in a way, or like collabing with somebody, or kind of like what your plan is going to be, like when we go to CTN, like pass out your business cards, and like maybe that will be kind of something to kind of help at least get you started. But yeah, it's like the ultimate dream is like doing what you love without having to worry about that paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you want the jobs to come to you rather you to constantly go out and finding them.
Yeah, people know who Jeremy Soule is, who Grant Kirkhope is, who Danny Elfman is, who Hans Zimmer is, and they're not necessarily attached to a studio or something. But people come to them with these really big price tags, and they go like, I would love it if you made this music for me.
Yeah.
And that would be the utmost freedom. Yeah, that's the goal. Also, Disaster Piece. He's also one of those people that I really, really love. And then the other Sally question, one skill or ability that I possess that I'm pretty confident of. I think that kind of comes from the podcast, is that after listening to people get specific about the things that they do, I've gotten pretty good at taking like a complex idea or a concept and putting it in like a smaller, accessible form in order to discuss them. I think I still remember whenever I had two of the members of Space for Release on, Grayson and Walt. They were talking about how like great it is to be able to like work with each other and toss ideas back and forth, and it's really inspiring to be able to work with each other. And I was like, they were like talking about that for like 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, that's like the spirit of collaboration. And they were like, yeah, you just took the things that we just said in 5 minutes and like put it in a nice little sentence right there. And so yeah, that's something that
You should be a slogan writer.
But yeah, I think I've gotten pretty good at really seeing the bigger picture of what people are talking about and like sort of pinpointing like, hey, this is the theme of the thing. So yeah. Thank you, Sally, for all of the questions.
Jared asks, if all the members of the Lunar Laugh had a fight to the death in a battle royale, who, in your opinion, would win and why?
Thank you, Jared, for putting me in a weird position. I don't know Connor well enough to make a judgment for him. Jimmy is way too nice to hurt anyone. And so it would probably come down to Jared and Campbell. Campbell has like the right amount of like crazy in order to like really fight someone to the death. I don't know, like if it comes to a fight to the death, like Campbell would probably like remove his shirt immediately, and that's how you know that it's on. So yeah, it would probably be Campbell. Although Jared would put up a good fight. Yeah, thanks, Jared.
Chase asks, is Rock dead, and why is it or isn't it?
Is Rock dead? I think the like big sort of stadium level Rock is dead. Like you won't have any more like giant, hair metal stadium stuff anymore. And I mean, people's like your parents still go to their concerts whenever they're in town, but like they're playing like casinos and stuff. It's like, oh, Styx is playing at Riverwind or something. It's like, yeah.
They aim for like they don't go to like downtown anymore.
They don't play the Chesapeake anymore.
No, they usually do the casinos.
And so in that gigantic form that like Rock sort of took over the 80s and 90s.
Aerosmith played at Chesapeake.
Right.
But he was. Would you label him as Rock?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah. So I think that like Rock takeover that was in the 80s and 90s. I mean, like Michael Jackson had a guitar solo in Beat It. Like Rock was the thing.
Yeah.
But the spirit of Rock of making heavy loud music with like cool guitar solos and stuff,
the riffs,
AC/DC and Zeppelin and stuff, while that's not around in a big form, it still exists in like smaller scenes. And so you can go to local shows and see like some awesome musicians totally kill it, but it probably won't get to the level of Taylor Swift anytime soon.
No.
But The Rock won't die, or as Tenacious D said, like the metal can't die. Everything tried to kill the metal, but they failed. And so Rock is dead and it isn't dead, to sort of not answer your question.
Probably will die, probably like within like maybe 50 years, I would think.
No, I mean, Rock has just gotten like heavier. Like
I guess
slam and stuff.
I guess I'm just not as familiar with it because I'm used to hearing like the hip hop and the stuff that you hear more like on the radio. that's like super trendy and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I feel like it is dying because it's now becoming more prevalent with technology, since we're like in the tech era now, that we're going to be hearing more of that, whereas rock was like, it was kind of more pure in a way, because it was like they didn't need, and correct me if I'm wrong, like they didn't need to have like audio changes to make them sound better. Like it was literally them practicing hours and hours and hours on these like instruments to make it sound like that.
Or not practicing if you're going with like old punk bands. But like the CBGB's style tiny room with loud guitars, you can still get that in a CBGB's sense, but not in like the stadium sense anymore. But I mean, listen to new shit. I mean, I don't listen to enough new stuff either, but like people are always making new stuff, so go for it.
Z asks, do you see yourself getting heavily interested in fighting games?
I was actually just talking to Jeff about this. Probably not. I think I've missed the boat, and now like getting into Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom or anything. Soul Calibur's coming back. Maybe that'll be fun. But yeah, they're making another Soul Calibur. Yeah. But and
keep rambling and do research for like 2 seconds.
But it's hard to keep up nowadays. The learning curve has gotten really, really far, and it's good that the games are playing towards their audience. It's like, yeah, our heavily invested fighting game people are really enjoying these games, but it's like now it's gotten so fast that I don't think I have it in me to practice that much or whatever. Yeah, sorry, I'm spending all my time playing walking simulators and indie stuff that I don't play these gigantic fighting games, or well, they're awesome, and at least NetherRealm is figuring out finally how to tell a story in games. So yeah, because Injustice and Injustice 2 have excellent stories.
Finally had
Black Canary. Yeah, that too.
Finally, she should have been in the first one. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah,
Still salty about that.
That we were salty about, like, the woman who teaches the Justice League how to fight wasn't in the first Justice League fighting game. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I may have missed the boat, but we'll see with Soul Calibur. 6, is it?
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. I guess it's going to be released this year, 2018 now.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh my god.
Oh,
my baby.
That good old Soul Blade.
Freaking love that game. Like, Soul Calibur is like the one game, like fighting game, that I've always felt more connected to. Because that was probably like one of my first games I actually played, because I started out on handhelds. And then it wasn't until I met Annie did she introduce me to consoles, so with PS2 and GameCube. That's where I got introduced to Soul Calibur, and ever since then I was hooked. And so
that Soul Calibur 2, Link was in it, in the GameCube version. GameCube had Link, PS2 had Heihachi, and Xbox had Spawn, which is so weird.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I don't have is the Xbox. Yeah. I think I have all the others. That's how much I love that game.
Yeah.
I'm excited! Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I'll have to do more research later. Moving on. Or unless, did you have more to say?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Z.
Mikey, aka Metroid Mike, asks, why doesn't anybody follow my Instagram for my book?
Question mark, exclamation point. Yes, hashtag listen to Metroid Mike. I think maybe people don't go to Instagram for books, and so they don't expect it. But hopefully, if they come across it and they're like, "Oh man, this is a really cool story going on here," I actually haven't read up yet. I'm sorry, but I plan on it. And now that you've done a lot of chapters already on Instagram, I can like go back and be like, "Oh man, look at this killer story by Metroid Mike over here." So that'll be really cool to catch up on. I know I like have so many people and myself on the podcast be like, "Oh, support your local musicians," but then I also am not good at supporting my local musicians. So I'm sorry, I'm a hypocrite. I'm the worst.
I'm trying to see like if I've noticed it.
Right, but
wait, is it just like an image and then has like a really long
yeah
paragraph? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know those were books.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry,
that's
Mikey.
that's his fiction that's going on there. It's really cool. I've caught glimpses of it, and it is really cool. But yeah, I'll probably catch up at some point soon. But maybe at some point once you're finished, you can compile it all and throw it into like the booklet for your next album or something. That would be a really cool way of doing it. That's probably what you're gonna do anyways. But yeah, listen to Metroid Mike. And he was on the podcast. So yeah, go back and listen to that and enjoy his killer chiptunes.
Yes.
Mikey also just slays on the bass. Like I'm never gonna be as good as Mikey on the bass. But a man can dream. Thank you, Mikey.
All right. Maddie asks, "What's your favorite SpongeBob episode?"
Well, Mikey said that it's an impossible question to answer. It's probably the Krusty Krab training video. It just changed up the format of SpongeBob, and it's just so cool. It just plays like the training video or like any training video that you see, and it's just so like got a lot of original jokes that are sort of a different tone than in SpongeBob normally. But it's like it's got a lot of really good quotes in there. Like my brothers and I like quote a lot of SpongeBob at each other too. So one good one is the ceiling is right, Squidward. You're not a very good employee. And it sounds like a lot of hoopla. It sounds like a lot of hoopla. And then he gets hit by a brick. But and then the like da 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 at the very end. It's an excellent episode. So, yeah, it's probably my favorite episode.
Yes.
Thank you, Maddie.
Jordan has a pretty long one, so I'm gonna let you sum it up.
These vocab words, though, Jordan. So Jordan asks, progressivism strives to become a political state that is all-inclusive and benefits everyone, not just the wealthy few. This is achieved through judicial, economic, political, social, and cultural reform. As progressivism gains support and popularity, we're beginning to see a shift in the discourse of certain branches of Christianity, especially Catholicism and Methodism. DACA, marriage equality, judicial reform, healthcare, and other social programs are cornerstones in the current progressive movement, but they are also gaining traction and support among Catholics and Methodists. In order to spread progressivism, should progressives allow religion to become a recruiting tool and a method to spread progressive ideals? If they do, they risk having it become the left equivalent of evangelism. Are churches just joining the progressive bandwagon because being the antithesis of Trump policies and discourse is popular and brings people in the doors? To use that skill that Sally asked about, to summarize the giant question, should progressivism take in conservative giants, I guess, in religion? I think both conservatism and progressivism are sort of like killing each other in their extremes. And so while it can be helpful to have Catholicism at your back, this giant Catholic machine, to help with, reform and stuff, you also have to keep in mind that at their core of a lot of these, like Catholicism and Methodism, they have, some very not progressive things at their core. And so, yeah, maybe some of them are like, yeah, healthcare seems like a good idea. Let's do that. But at some point, they will argue, like, marriage equality might not be a good thing. It says so right here in the Bible. And so, at their core, they may not be as progressive. But at this point, any support that goes against Trump seems pretty nice. Just be careful who you shake hands with and make big deals with, because at the end of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union looked at each other and were like, hey, wait, we hate each other. And then the Cold War started. And so make sure to keep your core values strong, and make sure that the people that you are collaborating with also share in those core values. But if you keep a core value of love, then, hopefully you can see more clearly through a lot of the stuff that you want to happen. Hopefully that sort of answered your question. Yeah. Thank you, Jordan.
Tyler asks, throughout your years of writing, producing, and performing, who has been your biggest artistic influence? What kind of impact have they left on you, and what kind of impact do you hope to leave on your fellow aspiring artists?
So this was kind of in the interview portion, but I think, my biggest artistic influence has been my favorite video games and my favorite artists. The Radiohead making awesome music has made me who I am. The way I sing probably comes mostly from Tom York and Ben Gibbard. And then video game music, like the Fable soundtrack and the Portal soundtracks and stuff. A lot of Disaster Piece now has influenced my composition. And then what impact do I hope to leave on? Well, what impact they left on me was a lot of the way that I sing, a lot of the way that I approach production, a lot of the way that I have intent in what I compose, kind of comes from, and then a lot of like thematic and structural sort of ways that they make stuff. Like the Radiohead formula of a song is kind of like you take a tone poem, which is just like a bunch of disjointed sentences that are about the same thing, and then you make it in a weird time signature and have weird guitars and rhythms and stuff, and put a drum machine over it, and then you have a Radiohead song. My favorite artists have sort of affected the way that I write songs, affected the way that I write music. And then what kind of impact do I hope to leave on my fellow aspiring artists is that I hope that you make your art with intent. That everything that you do, you put your heart and soul into, and you mean it. Because if you don't mean it, if you're making something because you feel obligated to or something, even if you're getting paid for it or whatever, like it's very clear whenever something is kind of soulless. Yeah. Thank you, Tyler. I need to get you on the podcast. This Tyler Johnston. He was in a band with me.
Oh, I was thinking the other Tyler.
Nah, yeah, not that Tyler.
Okay. King asks, "What is your most controversial opinion?"
Thanks, King. I will be beheaded. So I mean, you probably heard some of them in the interview part, but religion sucks. There's no such thing as free will. There is no self. Everything is meaningless. We will all die, and nothing will matter. I think people don't like that opinion. But I do have a contrary to that is that love everyone, everything that you do, because it's limited, is the most important thing that you could ever do. And so you have to make the most out of it. You have to make the world as good of a place as you can, because this is all that we have. But yeah, still not being a good friend of religion is probably pretty controversial. So, but it's not even that I'm opposed to religion. I'm opposed to shitty ideas in religion. So don't use your religion to hurt people or keep rights from people. That shouldn't be controversial. But, in general, religion, I don't like it. Thanks, King.
Your dad actually asked, "What's the relation between your podcast and the music you produce, and how has the podcast made you better at music production? Would you recommend that other producers start a podcast in order to improve their skills in that field?"
My podcasts, I really haven't made that much of a connection between the podcast and my music. If anything, it's sort of given me creative ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But in a more like music production sense, in the sense that you're asking, is that since I edit the podcast in Pro Tools, I've gotten really like a lot faster in Pro Tools, just because it helps me to be more fluent in it because I do the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And being fluent in Pro Tools is very important to music production. And it really helps with your workflow. You just have to like learn how to use the thing. It's like learning to ride a bike or playing an instrument. But honestly, if the second part of your question, would I recommend that other producers and engineers start a podcast? I think you should start a podcast because you have something to say, because you think that it'll be important and you want people to listen to it. But you do get the added benefit of getting better at whatever program it is that you would use to edit the podcast. I recommend Pro Tools because Pro Tools is primarily for messing with audio, and that's what I do with the podcast in Pro Tools. And so, yeah, I have gotten a lot better at Pro Tools through the podcast. I would hope to connect the podcast and my music a little bit more in a better like thematic sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you, Dad, for everything. And also the question. Yeah.
Okay. Brant also asks, "What is the one thing you enjoy that you are most embarrassed / ashamed to admit to enjoying?"
This one I had like a hard time thinking of an answer, because it's like, I shouldn't be ashamed of enjoying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. But I guess the only answer that I could give is like vulgar humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you're not as fond of it, but like,
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, I think the most vulgar I've gone is like some stand-up comedians,
Right.
but like I don't like Rick and Morty.
Right. And so like excessive violence, excessive cursing, and excessive sexual humor or whatever, whether I like it or not, I find it pretty funny a lot of the times, even if I'm not supposed to laugh at it or whatever. But it's still funny, and like sex and violence and stuff is still a part of our lives, and so some stuff is pretty funny, and there should be nothing that we are so sheltered or against that we can't laugh at, because by laughing at stuff we sort of analyze it a little bit more. And so as a lot of comedians say, you should be able to make a joke about anything, and if you can't, then there is really a problem in the culture that doesn't allow you to make a joke about something. It's never too soon, it's never too sensitive or whatever. But I think in one of George Carlin's early stand-ups that I watched recently, whenever people groan or boo at his at one of his jokes, he said, like, jokingly that, oh, the reason that people boo at some of my jokes is because they're envious that I'm able to come up here and say these things. And so rather than, if someone goes, too soon or whatever, it's like, nah, you were thinking that joke anyways, you just didn't want to say it out loud, and I had the courage to say it out loud or something. And so I do appreciate vulgar humor, even though it's not as tasteful to other people. Thank you, Brian. Enjoy your stuff.
Will asks, do you enjoy talking about how people build themselves into who they are, or what their opinions are on certain subjects?
Yeah, I mean, that's really why I started the podcast. It's just a great way of getting to know people. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone has a story to say, or as Bill Nye says, everyone knows something that you don't. And so getting to know people in a deep sense, getting to know what they do and why they do it, really gets to the core of people. And the more we get to know each other as humanity, the better we can all be towards each other and with each other. Thanks, Will.
Libby asks, what do you think of conspiracy theories?
There are some conspiracy theories that are somewhat plausible. I'm not quite a 9/11 truther or whatever, but I think the narrative is not exactly what they say it is, and people shouldn't be demonized for looking into it. We should always question everything. We should always be, especially if it's coming from the people who signed the Patriot Act, or the people who are trying to create more of an authoritarian 1984 or Brave New World type situation. If your leader is saying that the media can't say things, then you should probably question the leader, because we should all be free to question everything and discuss everything. But there are some conspiracies that are downright harmful to intellect. The world is not flat. We have enough science and evidence to decide against that, and to continue to think so is ridiculous. But yeah, it's really more about being open to stuff. And some conspiracy theories are really interesting, and they can, while you may not have to believe the conspiracy theory itself, you can kind of dive in and sort of be able to question stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we don't have reptilian overlords, but maybe we should question who's really in charge here, stuff like that. Thank you, Libby. We need to do another bass lesson.
Megan asks, best and worst dank memes.
I know she has other questions. I mean, recently, there's that Kylo Ren shirtless meme,
God.
which is pretty great.
Is that funny or best? Worst
I mean,
or best?
it's pretty dank. But I think one of okay, so here's a couple. There's one where it's like a guy's head, and he's like talking to an orange, and sometimes green beans are involved, and they talk with like terrible grammar, and that's just it's excellent. There's really no better way to explain that. It's nonsense, complete nonsense.
What do you deem is like the worst meme?
The worst memes, to me, are like normie memes.
What are those?
So it's like memes that are just trying to pander to the largest audience. When memes, that's why I don't share when memes, because whenever you make the premise of your meme when, you're saying like, hey, the only thing that I can find humorous is something that is only relatable rather than humorous on its own. So the stuff that I like sharing is stuff that's humorous on its own. It doesn't necessarily have to be relatable. It's just funny on its own.
Fair enough.
But the other good dank meme is just a lot of like, there's a lot of good Sonic memes. Just Sonic saying ridiculously conservative Christian things because it's funny. Like, I don't know, the other day I saw a picture of like the golden Sonic thing, and he said like, don't masturbate.
Oh my god.
It's great. Or like seeing like a hairless Sonic or something like that. It's pretty great stuff.
No.
Dank.
How did you get into memes in the first place?
Ted Tamayo. I don't know if he's listening to this, but it's all Ted's fault.
Dang it, Ted. Created a monster.
Yeah, well, no, it's great.
No,
it's great. Meme's great.
No, it's
Maybe it's other questions.
Oh gosh. She also asked, what is your ideal fictional story? If you were to write your own novel, what would be the protagonist and the antagonist, setting, concepts, themes, serious or funny, or would you have a pen name?
I love science fiction. That's really like specifically like cyberpunk. Either cyberpunk or like high sci-fi. But not high sci-fi to the point where it gets kind of fantasy. Yeah, I'm really like making a specific time frame of the future here. I love cyberpunk, which is basically like we haven't gotten off of planet Earth yet, but like the internet has taken over, and so cyberpunk allows us to question sort of like what is humanity in a technical world. And you know, so stuff like Ghost in the Shell, the anime, not the movie, the Matrix, and Psychopaths, and what was the yeah. Anyways, I enjoy cyberpunk. Just Blade Runner as well. Or do we enjoy Stream of Electric Sheep? But cyberpunk is my jam. Really because it really questions the idea of the self and the idea of humanity's role in a greater technology. Also, Black Mirror. Black Mirror is some good stuff. Gets real dark, but it's kind of supposed to be. And then even farther science fiction once you get into space travel and stuff. But I really enjoy it whenever they have like feasible scientific explanations for their space travel. And so it's not just like, because Star Wars isn't good science fiction. It's hardly science fiction because it's like, oh, look, they can travel faster than light. How? It doesn't matter. But like the Halo science fiction novels and stuff, all the Halo lore has some really good stuff in it, actually. Mass Effect has some excellent lore. There's just like, go into the codex in Mass Effect. There's just like a great world built in there. And then if I were to write my own novel, we actually talked about this. I have this. I may be like letting the cat out of the bag too soon or whatever, but I still have to make it.
Everything.
Right. But basically, cyberpunk Star Wars. So, doing Joseph Campbell with cyberpunk. Don't steal that idea. I'm on it. And then, so yeah, the setting would be a cyberpunk world. The themes would be humanity and its relationship with technology. It would be pretty serious with some funny stuff in it. And I don't think I would have a pen name. Everything that I do is under my real name. And whether or not you like it, I make songs, I make composer stuff, I do cosplay, and it's all me. So I don't need to add another name or whatever. It's all me. I do these things. Thank you, Megan.
All right. Last question.
Actually, I have another one that Lee asked, and it's on my phone. So, but yeah.
Should we have that one first, since this one's related to
Yeah.
the year?
Okay, yeah.
Second to last question. Sorry.
So Lee asked, what do you think the future of podcasting looks like? Will it ever hit the same level of saturation as television or radio? I think
Interesting question.
podcasting is getting really, really popular. And I also think that the media giants don't like that. We're making lots and lots of good information available for free. And even though the radio is free, it's full of advertisement. And a lot of podcasts have skippable advertisements. And so it's like, even if media giants try to take over podcasts, you can just skip to the ads. For now, I guess. But I think everyone should listen to podcasts. And I think, honestly, that's what the future is going to look like. More people are just like, oh, do you listen to this podcast? Like, yeah, everyone listens to podcasts. And so I've gotten smarter. I've learned a lot of stuff. I've also become humbler and have become more well-rounded, I hope, through listening to different podcasts and different perspectives. That's kind of why I do the podcast. And then if it will ever become to the level of saturation as TV or radio, there's already way too many podcasts. It's just kind of the Wild West out there. Everyone has a podcast now. I have a podcast. But it's really more about what you choose to listen to, and the good stuff hopefully will come out. But also sometimes the good stuff doesn't come out, and that kind of sucks. But I think you can really tell whenever people put some passion into their podcasts and stuff. In the same way that you can tell whenever people are passionate about the TV show or the radio or whatever. But TV and radio are kind of oversaturated as well because of the internet. And so we just have loads of content going everywhere. And it's like, there's a TV show about a Honey Boo Boo, and it's like, yeah, of course there is. And then there's a TV show about this family who had like 12 kids, and then they have a spin-off TV show about one of those 12 kids, and she's gonna have like 12 kids or something. I'm really just mad at TLC, honestly, but
You must be, because that's like
yeah, TLC TV shows, but it's all garbage.
Okay, since we're on that tangent for like 2 seconds, I remember when TLC, I think, was more about like travel and like home improvement and swapping. Like, I remember the show where like literally these two families would swap houses for like a while, and they'd redo like one room out of their entire house. So like
trading spaces.
Yeah, trading spaces. I think like they only did like one room, or maybe they did like 3 rooms or something. But I was like, you're only doing a few rooms. But anyway, remember like that was a big thing. And then the one where the carpenter guy that used to be on there, like he did the thing where it's move that bus kind of thing. I don't know if they still have that anymore. Like it was just like a lot of like projects and encouragement, and then it turned into fashion and everything.
No, it's just like trash TV.
Well, now it's like TLC focuses on anything that's abnormal to them. So like there's 2 or 3 different shows that focus on little people. There's 17 Kids and Counting, and the Counting On, My Big Fat Fabulous Life, which is getting another season coming in. Honey Boo Boo was on there. Just anything that, I don't know if it was just, they were like, oh, we kind of have this thing now where it's like, we're going to focus on people that aren't considered normal, because either they're making fun of it, or they're like, we want to get people aware. I don't know what their intent is. Hopefully it's just to get people aware. But like, and this is my own personal preference, and like, it's their lives, it's not mine. You know, I don't know the logistics of it, but like the 17 Kids and Counting, like, I understand with their beliefs and everything, they have a certain way of doing stuff, but like, I felt it was fine when the first daughter started courting and then she got married. But it's like, as soon as she happened, then it was like sister after sister after sister. It was like almost every other episode, it felt like another sister was like finding a guy. And like they had, I remember when it was 17 Kids and Counting, then it became 19 Kids and Counting. And it kept going. I was like, is the channel forcing them to find love and forcing them to get married, forcing them to have kids? Or is this natural, and the reality TV of it is just there?
Yeah.
Or like Breaking Amish. That was another one. And that was kind of interesting, but it was also like, no offense, but like, why New York of all places to send them if you're coming out of the Amish firework or woodwork, if you will? But yeah.
All of that to say is reality TV is garbage, and it fucks with people's lives. So
the only ones that I do like a reality TV are like Next Top Model or like Survivor.
But even then, you can support smaller people who have cooler stuff going on by listening to their podcasts or be like learning from cool authorities in different fields and stuff. Yeah, it used to be if you are interested in something, like you can find like a TV show that, you know, works with that. But now it's like there's a podcast for everything. And so if you're interested in ancient Egyptian archaeology, there's probably a podcast about that.
I think I had found one a while back just on the history of Rome.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's podcasts on everything. You can actually learn different languages through podcasts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have like learning language podcasts. So yeah, it's already pretty oversaturated, but again, hopefully the good stuff will come out. But at the same time, if you know what you're looking for, you can probably find something good. But it also helps if you leave reviews on the podcast so that you can see which ones that people like or not. Hint, hint. Anyways, thanks, Lee. I love you. You're great. Okay, yeah, now the last question.
Now the final question. Sabra asks, what were some of your highlights for the year and what are your goals for 2018?
Some of my highlights for the year. TNT was a lot of fun. Doing that Pokemon Go skit.
Yes.
Getting my bachelor's and my associates. Also pretty neat. Well, in reverse order, I got my associates and then my bachelor's. Hitting, 100 episodes, even though this one's coming out now in 2018, but making all of this progress on the podcast, and just the different stories and people that I've had on the podcast has been excellent. Gotten better relationships with teachers and friends and stuff, and personally it's been a challenging year, but also I have a lot of stuff to be thankful for. And then, the everything else of the freaking political shitstorm. But, so it goes. And then my goals for 2018. So I want to write more music, like songs with words. And I want to perform more music. And so I will be notifying about when I am performing and where I am performing and who else will be performing if I, get good at booking gigs. But I'm not good at booking gigs yet, so we'll see. And then really just another goal is just to love more, being a less selfish person, and then continuing to learn and grow as a musician, as a person. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm also going to be traveling a lot. In the U.S., obviously, but I'm going to be traveling, doing some other conventions and stuff, doing some cosplay stuff, and we're going to go to CTN and pass out my business card to lots and lots of different artists, so that should be fun. Yeah, and hopefully everything else doesn't fall apart if we don't die in a nuclear fireball. But yeah, so it goes. Yeah. So yeah, episode 100.
Woo!
Oh my god.
You did it.
Yeah. So I guess I'm Santiago Ramones.
And I'm Sable.
Where can we find your stuff?
You can find me at SableAnn_creations on Instagram. You can find my Etsy. There's a link in my profile on Instagram. I sell stuff. I have 2 items up right now. I have a pin where I help donate to help raise money for the Sioux tribe.
See you, Standing Rock.
Standing Rock.
Tribe.
Yeah. It's now past their 1-year anniversary since they started, so please help support them. 75% of the proceeds go to them for whatever use they need the money for. I also have necklaces of little animal charms, and proceeds go to my local zoo for that. And hopefully this year you'll actually be seeing more stuff coming out soon. I have more pin ideas I really actually want to start, maybe actually happen this year. If budget happens. So we'll see about that, but I'm probably going to start producing more art, especially if we're going to CTN, so you might be seeing some prints. So just keep a lookout for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for hosting.
Of course.
I'm Santiago Ramones. You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I have this podcast, which you can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or on Stitcher or on YouTube. The YouTube's a little barren, honestly. You guys can watch a little bit more on YouTube, or just listen. But, you can comment, and just because I asked all of you to ask questions for this podcast doesn't mean you have to stop asking me questions. If you keep listening and I say something that you like or don't like or just want to hear my opinion on, you can always send me a question, and I'll bring it up on the podcast and stuff. Or if you have someone that that you think would be great on the podcast, you can also just let me know about that. But yeah, leave reviews on the podcast app. It helps. And be honest with me. I want some feedback about what you think about the podcast. I know this one's kind of long, but it's kind of a celebration. And then on my website, you'll also find my music, my songwriter stuff, and my composer-y stuff. You can pay what you want on my demo of Songs with Words. And, you can pay $0, you can pay $100, you can pay whatever you want. Or you can listen to some of my ambient stuff, some interesting background music. Hopefully I'll be putting more up eventually. Maybe I'll get some more recordings as well. And then I'll probably also be putting shows and stuff if I get to actually perform some shows. Yeah. Do you want to do the last 3 things? I always end the podcast with my 3 things.
You always end the podcast with your 3 things, which are love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Moving around, I don't make a sound. My world floats along in a beautiful song. There's nothing better than pleasant weather. It's easier to eat without any feet. Koi, 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 koi. There's nothing wrong here in my pond. We're never cold, we never grow old. I laugh and grow fat, or here where I'm at. It's easy to swim when lights don't grow dim. Koi, 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 We're orange and white, pretty and light. We're red and gold, and our blood is cold. The invincible humans are our mighty servants. We don't have a worry because we're not furry. Life's simply perfect, nobody objects. I've plenty of food, and I never lose. I know I will die, but I will not cry, 'cause my life is ultimate. ultimate bliss. And I will be missed.